So the fact that Ben Stein's an idiot has been well established at this point. We've shown you many clips where he talks about Democrats, where he talks about President Obama, and he said some absolutely outrageous things. But he's decided that he's got no career left, so he's got to go on television and say even more outrageous things in hopes of reviving his career so that people will talk about him. What's really ironic is that people used to think that this guy was smart. That was the whole idea, win Ben Stein's money. Can you beat Ben Stein in a game of wits? Apparently, like my 4-year-old could. So here he is on Fox News saying more nonsense.
I think what the White House is doing is trying to racialize all politics, and they're especially trying to tell the African-American voter that the GOP is against letting them have a chance at a good life in this economy, and that's just a complete lie. I watch with fascination, with incredible fascination, all the stories about how the Democratic politicians, especially Hillary, are trying to whip up the African-American vote and say, oh, the Republicans have policies against black people in terms of the economy. But there are no such policies. That whole idea that the economy is being used in some way to oppress minorities is just an outrageous lie.
It's outrageous, outrageous. Well, the Republicans have been going out of their way to help African Americans for so long. Like when they ran the Southern strategy and said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to appeal to Southern white racists by discriminating against blacks so that they'll vote for us. The racists will vote for us because there's more white people in the South than black people. We're going to flip the South from Democrat to Republican. Well, they did that, to be fair to Ben Stein, during the Nixon administration. And how did Ben Stein first get famous? By working for the Nixon administration. Wow, how funny. So the guy who was in the administration that came up with the Southern strategy turns around and says, how would anybody think that Republicans are not trying to pass policies that, to the great detriment of African Americans? No such thing exists. Really, what policies have the Republicans done to help African Americans, let alone anybody that isn't super rich? So you want to talk about tax cuts? Yeah, I understand that. Yes, that helps the rich, that helps corporations, I understand. When you talk about opportunity, have you said, hey, you know what? You score really well in your tests and we're going to give you a free education. The Republican heads would explode. We have no money, no way, bootstraps. You want to cut programs that help people who need a hand up, right? Not a hand out, but a hand up, as Clinton used to say. That's true. Do Republicans want to do that? No, they don't want to do any of that. And this guy turns around and says, no, it's all a lie. Okay, but that's nothing compared to the two things he's about to say. Watch.
Well, but what do you say to their claims that Republicans cut budgets, they cut programs that help minorities, that help poor folks, that they are to blame because they make things tougher on those who don't have advantages and are disadvantaged?
The cuts have been absolutely minuscule, absolutely tiny, unbelievably small, and much more important has been the fact that the Republicans, by virtue of supporting the policies that stopped the crash in 2008, 2009 from being a Great Depression, stopped a real economic catastrophe. I mean, the Republicans are the ones who saved this economy, not the ones who ruined this economy. And as I say, whatever little tiny cuts they might have made here or there in welfare programs, and they were tiny, absolutely tiny. Look, by the way, let me back up a second, Shannon. What are they talking about? More people are on food stamps than ever. More people are getting welfare than ever. What cuts are they talking about? More people are getting government-subsidized health care than ever. What cuts are they talking about? It's all a way to racialize voting in this country. This president is the most racist president there has ever been in America. He is purposely trying to use race to divide Americans. Anyone who investigates it even a little bit knows it's hogwash.
Yeah, no, I know. The first African-American president is the most racist. By the way, he's not just African-American, right? He's half black, half white. But he's racist apparently against, what, one side of his heritage or maybe both sides of his heritage? Who knows? He's the most racist there is. Probably hates all different races, right? Now, President Obama, who dares to go after, in the tiniest way possible, the incredibly rich folks on Wall Street who happen to be largely white, apparently, how dare he speak so racist? He's trying to help other people by saying, hey, you know what? This economy was ruined, and here are some of the different ways that we can address that. Oh, yeah, trying to help black people. Racist. Now, you remember Glenn Beck was basically ridden out of town for saying something similar, but here's Fox News up to their old tricks, bringing in a guy like Ben Stein to come in and actually divide people based on race and call the president racist in the most absurd ways possible. But you got a sense of how insane Ben Stein is from the earlier portion of that video when he said the Republicans didn't crash the economy, they saved the economy. Wait. That is a fascinating piece of revisionist history there. we were here. You remember that the economy crashed under George W. Bush in 2008 when he was president, not under Obama. See, Obama could not have crashed the economy before he got in charge. That would be a unique charge. So, and remember, for most of the Bush term, it was the Republicans who completely controlled Congress and the White House. So somehow the tricky Democrats got the Republicans to destroy the economy for them. Oh, I see. You're making a lot of sense now, Ben Stein, right? And then if you remember, of course, the economy recovered, such as it is. I think the economic recovery went too much to the wealthy people that Ben Stein's trying to defend. And I think that's actually one of Obama's bigger problems. Not to African Americans, not to the middle class or the poor. But certainly whatever recovery we had in the stock market, et cetera, happened under Obama. But he says, no. It was the Republicans who saved the economy. How? The Republicans fought him tooth and nail on every one of those policies. No. Ben Stein is a gargantuan liar. He's actually a race baiter himself. And he goes out there to try to get attention for his miserable, pathetic ideas. That's Ben Stein in a nutshell for it.